Sometimes lost thoughts lead you astray. Then I cry, then I feel pain. Why do I suffer so much? I would love to feel your touch. Baby, I don't know where to go. I feel so lost without you. Baby, I don't know where to go. I feel so lost without you. Baby, I don't know where to go. I feel so lost without you. Baby, I don't know where to go. I feel so lost without you. Save me before I pass out. Save me before I pass out. Before I pass out.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the city that never sleeps. It is time for the Las Vegas Grand Prix here, round 7 of Tier 5 here at Moose Racing League. And Vegas is such an apropos track for us to be visiting today. Let's have a look at the circuit itself. It is a 3.8 mile circuit, 6.1 kilometers. What is a kilometer is probably the question you Americans are asking. Major straights with huge DRS and overtaking potential. There are so many, I mean so many risky points on this track. The entire middle sector is a nightmare and is a nightmare to navigate as well. We've seen already in Tier 6, chaos can occur, but will chaos continue occurring here today in Tier number 5? Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I am Dan, and he's dead again. I still can't believe it. It's every time. We've had 1 week. 1 week this season we've both been here. I feel like this joke has run its course. We have 4 rounds left in the season, and for Tier 5, the season has yet to run its course. A chaotic season, to say the least. A bunch of things happened last weekend in Tier 5 that I can't remember. That's how good they were. I literally don't remember, so I'm having to pull it up so I can look through it. But the point being, is that Camus qualified on pole once again and found himself once again not finishing in first place. Ended up in P5 in the end in the Williams, but one person who did make the most of that race was Kartman, who received the fastest lap and the race win after starting third on the grid. Did an amazing job to come home in the win off of, I think, a last-minute safety car. Only finished 4/10 ahead of the rest of the field. But a good points tally for him, especially considering championship leader GoldenDrift finished outside of the points in P13, and the closest rival on top of that was give me a minute, I will find them, I promise you. Jim Just Raged, who didn't perform as well. Jim, of course, finishing didn't race last week. Oh no, he did race last week. Where did he finish? Jim finished third. So Jim losing out on points but closing the gap to MRK means that the championship coming into this race has MRK at in 5th place. But GoldenDrift, the championship leader, the man who looked so dominant at the start of the season, now not scoring points, is listed as Sergio Perez for some reason. I don't know why. He's currently leading by 10 points on 87, ahead of Jim Just Raged on 77. Kartman is in third on 71, and then the other Red Bull driver of Midnight, who has quietly had a good season for Red Bull, is currently sat in 4th, MRK 5th, Knight in 6th, and that's all the drivers over 50 points in this championship. It's the midfield battle is also worth watching. Vince in the AlphaTauri, Benzo, Omamo, Normbash, Mach, all involved with one another, always at each other's heels. Some drivers have had a really unlucky season, like Nicky G, who's just struggled with performance issues on his PC. That's cost him a lot of time. If you're wondering why I'm waffling for so long, we're still waiting for the lobby to get going. But when we do get going, we will be getting into the first qualifying session of Vegas, or the second qualifying session this weekend. There is a lot to take in, though, after last week, because for tomorrow, for today I should specify, I'm reading this as the announcement came out from MRK yesterday. Bouncy for AlphaTauri has a quali ban to serve and 5 seconds to be added to their final time. Omamo has a race ban for Mercedes. He will not be racing today. JT Bedrippen will start from the back of the grid, also has a quali ban, and John Does Work will also receive a quali ban. So Mercedes having double whammy bad luck. Omamo not starting today due to the race ban, and John starting from the back of the grid. It is not what they were looking for when it comes to this weekend, but what we can do is have a look at the track now that we are getting ready to go in. Chat, you're on stream. Pat, I don't know when he'll be not dead again. Again. Maybe one day. That day might be a long time away though, so we'll hold a memorial for him at some point. Until then, make sure to like the video as we wait for Jim and Ace to load into and pick their tyres for this weekend. It's going to be an interesting one, I feel like. There's a lot of quality drivers on this grid, but this is one of those really difficult tracks to master, especially that first sector. The first 2 corners of this track are very difficult to get right consistently, so it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top there, as I've apparently been disconnected from that live timing and been re-entered into this one. 16 cars only this weekend so far. There may be more to come as we get everything set up. We will know what tyre they're on. Yeah, you know what, let's get the telemetry on, and that at the top. Yeah, we'll do fastest lap. Right, I'll get rid of the telemetry for now, but we are waiting for the first cars to leave the pits as everyone sets their setup, and it will be a Haas who will be leading us out, and it will be Toast who will be the first car. Toast, of course, has had an interesting season. I thought was on pace for a very long time. Chat, I don't know about you. Toast had a lot of pace in the early aspects of this season, but has failed to sort of capture that in the championship so far. We'll be looking to try and make up for it here this weekend. But this is the corner we're going to have to watch out for. Turn 3 is going to be a nightmare. There will be people dying there. I am 90% certain of it. Someone will miss their braking point and punch someone into the wall. We saw that already. Mage will get a podium today. No. I love you, Pat. No. You know what? I'm going to bet Robinslol will get a podium. Never heard of him. Alpine driver for this weekend. I believe a reserve for this weekend. He's the one that's going to get the podium. And probably the top 2 in the championship as well. GoldenDrift somehow wins again. And it'll be Kartman or Jim in P2. Yeah. But also, we are getting ready to have our first laps on the track. And it'll be interesting to see what pace everyone has around here. It is a very odd track where you want to be running low wings, but also at the same time you have that dastardly middle sector, very slow corners, very tricky ones, the chicane coming onto this main straight, and we will see Toast be the first to set a lap. So you know what, let's get chat off screen, shall we? Let's get into the actual racing itself, and we will be beginning our first flying lap, as for some reason JT chose intermediate tyres for a moment. Now round turn number 1. We'll go on board as he rounds turn 2. He's gone a bit wide. He's not been able to get on the throttle there. So he's carried too much pace on the entry into the corner and not anything out of the exit as Bouncy retires. That's the quali ban to serve. John also has one, so assume he will retire soon. I believe someone else has a quali ban that I said. JT has a quali ban. That's why he's on intermediate tyres and is coming out of the pits on those tyres. It's either him or Kartman. Either way, Toast now into a very awkward section. I feel like this one's going to catch people out here as they run through the casino complex, through the hotel. Bit of a bump there as you head into the braking point. You don't want to be cutting that corner. Stewards have been talking about it ahead of time in the race briefing. You don't cut that corner or you're going to get penalties applied. As there is a yellow flag in Sector 1, I think it's for a slowing McLaren. I'm not sure which one it is. I'm scared to find out which one it is. But Toast will be the first man to settle that. Now heavy braking for the final chicane. Gets through rather well, but he doesn't seem to have the grip to really put his foot down. Now coming on the run to the line. You want to take this flat. You want to try and minimize the turning angle of the car as you come through. Can he make a good lap? It's a 33.4 to start us off. It's not the best lap in the world, but turn 12 is now impossible to cut. How have they managed that? I wonder if they've just put a wall there, invisible. Oh, it's a trampoline. Lovely. Well, thank you, Bops, for that enlightening info. I can't wait to see people bounce up into the heavens this weekend. There's now Nicky G on a set of medium tyres. Will be interesting to see where his pace is on those mediums. We know he's quick. He's in fact not using ERS either, so I believe he's just starting a lap. Yeah, he's just started deploying ERS. Meanwhile, Knight sets a 1:34.0. Mark Mage 1:33.7 splits the two Haas drivers. As Nicky's first lap is a 35.1, which isn't bad at all, but I think he's just getting some race pace in at this point. Other drivers on the lap are Jim Just Raged, who's just begun his lap, and also had a yellow flag in Sector 1. So I believe may have missed his braking point for that first corner, which is unfortunate. Other drivers coming across the line now. I believe Kartman has just started his flying lap. We are on board with number 2 in the championship, Jim Just Raged, as Robinson has finished his lap, and JT apparently had a stroke trying to say his name, JT. Yeah, he's retired, as expected. GoldenDrift, championship leader, one of the fiercest competitors from the first few rounds of the season, always seem to be at the front, always seem to be in the battle. He's currently leading the way in the championship. Now we're going to try and lead the way around Vegas, braking into turn 3. You want to be braking just before the curb there on the inside, on the outside there at the corner. Want to run it to the wall. Now here you want to go middle of the track. You can see him run the car out, brake in a straight line, get the car turned in. You want to get on the throttle through there, but does a good job managing it through this sector. Doesn't hit the apex there on the exit, and it's very easy to go wide if you go too hard. As Nicky G goes on to provisional pole on a set of medium tyres. So maybe Toast lap wasn't the most representative. Here's GoldenDrift now. Clips the inside of that curb. He's done a good job there to avoid hitting the wall, but he's not carried the pace out of the exit. Jim Just Raged 33.9. Other drivers starting to come across the line. I believe that's a Ferrari. Might be of Great Ace. It is. Great Ace, of course, making a reserve debut this weekend. And that's not a great lap. 38.4 as John retires in the pit lane. Kartman, that's more like the times we were expecting to see. 32.9 from him. Alpine is the next one across the line. It's Normbach, only P4. Next car will be the other Alpine. That is of Robenslow, who goes at 33.9. He's now in P7. Aston Martin now. Ghost Rider, P9 for him. Red Bull crossed the line. It's GoldenDrift. And there was a reason we were hyping him up. He always makes it work. GoldenDrift through into P1 for the moment. AlphaTauri crossing the line to start his lap. That'll be Vince. The one AlphaTauri that can compete in qualifying this weekend due to Bouncy's quali ban. And you can see there, gets on the throttle a little earlier, so he's going to be carrying more pace down this straight, which is good. There's a Red Bull parked on the right here. That will be GoldenDrift getting out of the way. Other cars on flying laps. There is a Red Bull on an out lap, I believe. Oh, sorry, Ferrari on an out lap. That'd be Angry Shadow coming across the start-finish line. If you look in the mini-map at the bottom right-hand corner of the stream, you should be able to see it, as long as it's not hidden behind the subscribe button. And if you haven't already, now's the time to do it. As into the pits comes Nicky G. MRK also sets at 32.7. But Vince has gone purple in the first sector. Apparently. We can't trust the minimap sometimes. It can say things that aren't true. As I believe a lap just got set. I believe Ghost Rider just set a lap. Oh no, sorry. Great Ace set a lap. 33.9. Matching Roman's low, but a 4,000th quicker. As again, purple in the middle. Is this Vince's pace? Because if Vince is actually on pace here, this could be a great weekend for AlphaTauri. Does a great job through the final chicane. Onto the main straight now. The long run up to 8th gear. Burning ERS. Can he take it flat through this corner? Yes, he can. Where does he go? It's P2 for Vince. Only 700ths of a second off of GoldenDrift. Gets on the front row for AlphaTauri. A great lap from him. Meanwhile, the Red Bull coming across the line is GoldenDrift, who's going for a second flying lap. Either that or he's already managed to pit for a new set of softs. They do look fresh, but they are on the second lap hold. So I'll be interested to see if he's going to improve now. Danny Rick, apparently, yeah. Whilst Yuki Tsunoda starts at the back of the grid, Danny Rick's put in a banger of a lap. Angry Shadow, meanwhile, crosses the line, sets his first representative lap time. It's a 34.8. It's not the best lap time in the world, as the Williams of Camus, I believe, drives into the pit lane. Not many cars on track currently on laps. I believe Great Ace is on his in lap, that's why he's 10 seconds down. And there is a yellow flag for a Haas. And that would be Knight on his out lap. He's just sort of slow trailing here as Vince makes his way around on his in lap. But GoldenDrift is on another lap, and it'll be interesting to see where his pace is now. So let's go on board, or go around a lap with him. And you can see the difference in quality there. People are not wanting to risk or send it there. And I think he's actually... yeah, he's backed out. GoldenDrift has backed out of his lap. I think he realised he was going slow. And you can see he's 5 seconds off the pace. His Angry Shadow has gone into the wall in Sector 2. And it's very interesting that he's done it there of all places. At turn 10, he's gone into the wall and he has stayed in it. And it's very easy to do it, yeah. Listen, listen, you're not Mazepin, alright? You're more like Mick Schumacher. Underwhelming. But that's besides the point. What we can focus on is the fact that Nicky G is now in a pair of softs. Which means he's going to be quick. Why did I have to say something? He has immediately binned it into a wall. And I regret commentating everything. Yeah, Nicky, I'm sorry. Nicky, I'm sorry. Listen, it was bad to happen at some point. I was going to curse someone. It's a shame it had to be Nicky. That is Normbach behind him. He's just starting a flying, or he's just come out of the pit. He'll be starting a flying lap soon. Jim Just Raged is starting a flying lap. This is P2 in the championship. Jim Just Raged in the Alfa Romeo will hit the apex and go deep in a 1. We'll see varying lines through 1 and 2. I actually don't know what's quicker. You can hear Jim there slightly get off the throttle mid-corner. Now pushing towards turn 3. It's a difficult braking point. You don't want to carry too much speed in. Brake at 100 meter board. Turns in. Gets a bit of lock in the car. Bit of understeer there. I feel like everyone needs rubber pieces on their car around here. It is a nightmarishly difficult street circuit. Now coming through. The slowest corners on the track, has done a good job of navigating them so far. Now, into the section where we just witnessed Angry Shadow die. Will he have the grip in his car? Runs it wide. Brakes in a straight line. Gets the car hooked up nicely. And has done a good job, but he's not carried the speed through the corner. But to be fair, no one has. Now in through the DRS. The longest straight, or second longest straight in F1 history. I believe only behind Baku. To be fair, Baku has 2 corners at the beginning of it, so I don't know. But we'll see how he's doing. I actually didn't see his sector split flash up. He takes a good line through the final chicane. Will this be good enough for a front row start for Jim Just Raged? Will he have the pure pace to be on task with GoldenDrift? The answer is no, but it is P5, a 33-1. Meanwhile, Nicky G has boxed. He will not be setting a lap. Toasts up on his lap. Normbach is just beginning his. We've got an Aston Martin crossing the line. Ghost Rider does improve. 34-1. Good lap from him, but not good enough. Robenslow was up by a 10th, but is boxing. I think he's messed up the final corner, so he's not going to be finishing his lap. Let's go back on board with Toast, though, because Toast is still up by 2/10 in the middle sector. Has he been able to hook up the final one? He has, and it's P5. Baku, Spa, Vegas. Well, I feel like Vegas is the worst one, though, because you're up to speed faster, but that's just me. Meanwhile, AlphaTauri starting their flying lap. That is Vince, the only AlphaTauri. I have to keep reminding myself of that. I don't know why. I know he's the only AlphaTauri. You know he's the only AlphaTauri. The only person talking in chat is the other AlphaTauri. As we have a yellow flag in Sector 2. That will be for Golden. No, sorry. That will be for the Haas of Toast? No, the other Haas. The Toast's lap is already done. Jim on his in lap. Mark Mage was up by 3/10 in the first sector and has he's not finished it. Normbach, though, is up on his lap. This is a great lap from him. Goes P6. Ahead of Jim Just Raged. We don't have that long left in the session. Could the people giving the yellow flags please speed up so I can see the timer? Thank you, 3:31. We've got 3:30 left. They're still bloody putting the yellow flags up, but we know the time. Everyone knows the time. Who is currently out there on a lap? Vince is on a lap. How is Vince's lap coming along? We drive now towards the end of the DRS section. I don't think Vince has been putting in a very good lap here, and he isn't, no. He's definitely backed out of this one. Sitting in 7th gear as he comes down the back straight. Meanwhile, other cars starting their flying laps night on one now. The Alfa Romeo of Muck Mage will be boxing. And Vince will also be boxing. Everyone's going to try and go for one more run. You're going to have to be quick, though, because you're running out of time here to get a lap in. Meanwhile, the Red Bull of GoldenDrift is not wanting to wait till the final second. Oh, he's had a sketchy exit, though, at the final corner. As now he comes onto the main straight. Can he punch his ticket to the front row once again, already on provisional pole? Can he lock it in with this one lap? We're going to ride on board with him for the rest of the lap. Keep your eyes on the left-hand side of your screen. We've got drivers on laps currently. Normbach, Nicky G, Great Ace, Knight. But our screens will be glued to the cockpit of GoldenDrift. As he works his way through. How is that first sector? He's got on the throttle early there, but he's not really using the track to its full potential. But that is a quarter of a second up on his first sector. Vince does not have time to improve. He will not be able to set another lap time. He will not have time to get out and set another lap. He's ran out of time. Nicky G goes on provisional pole for Williams. 32.5 from him. Great lap for the Williams driver. Vince has realised he's not going to be able to make it and has parked it out of the way. Muckmade retires in the pit lane. He will not be taking any further part. GoldenDrift now. Has he been able to get this last chicane right? No, he's invalidated. GoldenDrift will not be on pole position for this weekend. Normbash, though, up by a 10th. He's going to try and break into that top section. But first, we've got to get on board with the Aston Martin, who is about to start his final flying lap. Behind him, I believe, is a Williams of MRK, who will be starting his. So yeah, we'll go back to Normbash, because neither of them are on a lap, so there's no point watching them. Norm's ran out of ERS, so it doesn't really matter. Knight's not pushing. Is anyone on a lap? Literally anyone. Toaster's starting his. Jim's in the pits. Jim's not going any further. GoldenDrift's not going any further. Great Ace is improving. Can he finish the lap strong? Cross the line he comes. Section has ended. This is his final lap. He will go P9. Great lap for Great Ace. Meanwhile, Knight not able to improve on his lap. His lap is over. The Williams behind him, however, is Nicky G, who has done a great job and has improved massively to be currently on pole. MRK is lapping 4 tenths quicker. Now through the chicane. Carries the speed. In front of him, Ghost Rider on a lap as well. Oh, this is intense. We'll see coming through the middle sector now. In about 3 seconds time, has MRK been able to keep his pace up? He is! He is on for pole! If he can just get the final chicane right. Heavy braking. Touch the curb on the inside. Ride the curb in the middle. All the way to the exit of the wall. I think he's got it. MRK on the run to the line. Ghost Rider takes P12 away from Robins. But this is the lap of a century from MRK. A Williams on pole. Guaranteed. Unless Toast has something to say about it. Across the line he comes. Can he dethrone MRK? No, he can't. He can't even dethrone Nicky, who hangs on. Kartman, the last driver to finish a lap, I believe. There's an Alpine coming through. That would be Robins up to P9. Great lap from him. Across the line goes Kartman, 32.7. It will only be enough for P5. And it is a Williams 1-2. Once again, MRK on pole. The inevitable here in Tier 5. It happens every week. And yet we always think something different might happen. Toast P3 outqualifies GoldenDrift. Huge implications for the championship though, because Kartman right behind the championship leader in P5. Vince P6, Norm P7, Jim's all the way down in P8. Not what he wanted from this qualifying session. He is only 10 points behind GoldenDrift, but he's got 4 cars or 3 cars between him. And wow. What a qualifying session that was. Back to me for a moment whilst we get the lobby set up for the race. MRK and Nicky G. I think it was the first 2 rounds of the season. MRK got pole and lost it due to a penalty. And in response to that, Nicky got pole the next week and didn't win. Williams are not good at converting qualies to wins. That seems to be the problem with them. It's the only reason MRK is not leading the championship currently. The one person that has been able to convert whenever they've been on the second row of the grid is GoldenDrift, who has always seemingly done well from 3rd or 4th on the grid. Now we'll have to see if that will stand true again here in this race. If you are enjoying this content, if you are enjoying the wonderful qualifying session and now the race that is about to begin, please do let us know. Drop that wonderful like. I only see 5. That's disappointing considering I see 29 of you here. But we are going to get going with the race. You know what? Let's have a look at the tyres on display real quick for everyone. We've got a hard for MRK currently. Mediums for everyone else in the top 10. MRK could be absolutely a sitting duck off the line. Knight and Ghost Rider also starting on mediums. It is going to be hard tyres for MRK. He is the only one on hards in the top 10. Will he be able to stay there? As way we go for the Vegas Grand Prix, and Toast has already got a great start. He's up to P2, straight off the line as cars go wide in through turn 1. Be careful not to cause contact, ladies and gentlemen. MRK from Toast. GoldenDrift's jumped Nicky G as well. He's down to 4th, as there's a yellow flag in the back. I'm not sure what for, as we see all the cars come through. Meanwhile, back at the front, it is MRK on those hard tyres, away from Toast. The McLarens are fighting down there. I believe Kartman's just lost a spot to Just Raged. He's now losing another one to Great Ace, who's done a great job to go round the outside. Kartman is all over the road right now. Slippery as can be. That's what happens when your tyres are just not warmed up. Meanwhile, down the back of the order, I believe John has felt further back, as he's battling currently with Angry Shadow for what would be P16. I believe John's got the exit speed, though it is now a car length clear, so he is up to P16. Meanwhile, GoldenDrift, and there's been something that's happened, because GoldenDrift is suddenly leading the race. And now Nicky G's got the run. Toast's down to P5, Vince is up to P4. We currently have 2 cars, championship contenders, and they're all over the field at this point. No one knows where anyone is. MRK has dropped back to 3rd. There's a little bit of contact there with Vince, but I don't think it's enough to warrant a spin. Meanwhile, GoldenDrift now seeing an opportunity. He's got the exit. Nicky is running absolutely 0-0 wings. He's a dynamite in a straight line, but currently is still leading the way after falling to 4th in turn 2. He now leads the Grand Prix. MRK, though, has been absolutely swamped. Down to P6. JT has done a great job to get up to P4. He started P15. How has he done that? Is he on softs? No, he's not. Now he's going for P3. Can't get the move done on Toast. We'll try and go for the cutback. Oh, there's contact. Meanwhile, Nicky's got Golden all over him. JT trying to get through. Squeezed on the inside. He's going to go into him. There's contact again. He's been done over nastily there. Now trying to fight to keep his position. We'll have to cede it to MRK. Bad start goes wrong, but he's still in contention. Meanwhile, Great Ace having a great race. He's up to P7. He got past Just Raged, as Nicky G has begun pulling away at the front. 7/10 the gap, and we'll see now on the straight. GoldenDrift is burning. Well, Nicky's burned a bunch. That's why. He's down to 40% ERS. But now as we max out the cars... Yeah, Nicky's got the straight line advantage. Look at that. Pull a 10.5. Meanwhile, Toast putting Vince under pressure now. MRK. Sorry, Great Ace currently battling JT. Is almost contact. Great job for both to avoid it, but Great Ace is in the wall. And I wonder if that contact is more than just contact. If he needs to pit, he does. And that is front wing damage for the flying Ferrari. And the prancing horse will sail to the bottom of the grid. As meanwhile, we're on board with Bouncy, who's had a great start as well. He's just got past Kartman, who is seeing his championship hopes and dreams slip away in front of him here at Vegas. But he'll try the exit. He's got the DRS open, as it has been activated straight back past Bouncy, as if he wasn't even there. Meanwhile, behind them, Jim also falling down the order. These two started 8th and 5th, are now down to 7th and 9th. The 2 championship contenders are not currently in contention. At the front, GoldenDrift is right on the rear end of Nicky G. Fastest first sector of anyone in that lap, as Angry Shadow receives a through second for corner cutting. I don't even know how that's possible around here, but congratulations. Either way, Nicky G looking behind him, seeing an approaching Red Bull of GoldenDrift. There's going to be very little defending to be done here as GoldenDrift pulls to the outside, pulls ahead comfortably before the braking zone. And Jesus, that DRS is OP around here, because that is the lead of the Grand Prix to the championship leader, and Nicky G has no answer as there's a yellow flag at MRK. MRK's gone into the wall. And I don't know how that's happened, but it has brought out the safety car. And the great equaliser has come out. And you can see immediately John's like, yeah, you know what, I'll take it. As will Angry Shadow, who will look to try and make a move maybe in the safety car. You are legally allowed to overtake into the pit lane. But a chaotic start to a chaotic Grand Prix, and MRK's bad luck here from starting on pole continues once again. This has happened every race that he has competed in and gotten on pole, I believe. He's had a bad string of luck that has either led to him not finishing first or has led to him DNFing. But what this has done is it has neutralised the race. And it's exactly what guys like Toast and Vince and JT needed. Because they were starting to lose touch to GoldenDrift and Nicky G. The gap was opening up between first and second and the rest of the field. That would have been the end of the race for everyone had there not been a safety car. Because that just means the GoldenDrift gets away. Toby, you've missed it. I almost missed it as well. He's gone off at the final chicane, coming onto the main straight. It's horrific. It's heartbreaking to see someone who is genuinely beloved by the community for all the work he does. We're setting up the League Racing tool, we're setting up Tier 6 streams and doing such a good job with those. Started on pole, now down to P17. Meanwhile, other big movers on the grid. You can see JT had an amazing start, was up momentarily to P4 before contact with, I believe, Toast. Partially spun him and dropped him back down to P6. He now inherits P5 off MRK. Meanwhile, Bouncy has had another good start. As in comes JT. JT's boxing here and is going to take the free pit stop. I don't disagree with this strategy call, but it'd be interesting to see what he goes on to the end here. Because if he's going to another pair of mediums... No, he's going softs. He's doing a two-stop. And this is the strategy I've seen this weekend. People have been talking about medium-soft being a legitimate strategy, which is why the hard tyres was such an odd choice for MRK. Speaking of, another car comes into the pits. That's Norm Bash. Norm is coming out on a set of hards, right as I say it. As I've apparently got rid of all the hood there, I apologise. But let's have a look at the tyres currently on the cars. The front 7 all running mediums. Everyone else running hards behind them in the top 10 except for Romans. As JT has actually been overtaken by Angry Shadow. Nope, that's Angry Shadow lagging. My apologies, but it did give an illegal overtake to JT. And that's problematic for Lord knows how many reasons. But yeah. Here we are. There is the Vegas Sphere. You can see it there vaguely in the shot. A beautiful feature of the weekend is seeing the Vegas Sphere do some very weird things. But in the meantime, what we can do is we can discuss with chat. Chat, how have you found this race so far? Has it entertained you? Let's pull you up on stream real quick. Chat, talk to me. GoldenDrift leads the way once again. Are we about to see 20 more laps of dominance from the Red Bull driver? Is that what we're getting here? Hello. Hello, everyone. A safety car is in this lap, so we might have to dip away quickly. But chat whilst you can. Get your opinions in. Say hello to YouTube. Say hello to the VOD. Say hello to everyone. Lovely timing. Thank you, safety car. You are wonderful. You do your job so perfectly. Thank you, Bert Mylander. Thank you so much. You've made it so I can't do my bit. Right. Let's get back to the race, shall we? Let's get back in the Grand Prix mode. As we get ready for the restart. On board with GoldenDrift. We're going to watch behind. See how well he gets his start. Safety car's in. And he has gone. And he's nailed it. Nicky has been left in the dust here. Off the restart. As has Toast. Toast has gone completely backwards. As you see the safety car pull in there. And it is a horrific start for the Haas driver. He's still down a second already behind GoldenDrift. So is Nicky to GoldenDrift, who's burning ERS to get away. Meanwhile, the AlphaTauris still P4, P5. Behind them, Kartman P6. Looking for a move on Bouncy here. Into T3. Will he go for it? No. Backs out the last second. Jim behind him. P7. He's got a very, very aggressive Haas behind him of Knight. He was looking to try and get some points. Yeah, Dutch. Bobs, you're famous. Congratulations, boys. Ghost Rider, P9, doing a great job there in the Aston Martin. The only Aston Martin representative this weekend is doing a great job. As one of the marshals, for some reason, was waving a yellow flag! Why do I keep talking about specific drivers and they keep binning it into walls? It's twice now. I'm sorry, Ghost Rider. And so, has he almost made contact there with the Ferrari? Now JT's all over his rear end. JT, of course, on fresh, soft tyres. Burning ERS. Doesn't know which way to go. And then realises he doesn't have the top end. Meanwhile, at the front, the gaps have stabilised. A second between first and second. A second between second and third. Nearly a second now between third and fourth. As Bouncy has fell back. And that's a mistake there. Potentially from the Aston Martin, as JT makes the move clean as a whistle, and has actually, I think, squeezed Ghost Rider, who had to back out there. That's given John Does Work another position. He's up to P12. Unfortunate lap for Ghost Rider was P9 coming into it, now finishes at P13. Safety car has come in, has been sat in the pit lane for quite some time. Meanwhile, Angry Shadow and Muck Mage here having a little battle. Oh, contact of Ferrari and the Alfa Romeo. Doesn't seem to have caused any damage to the front wing of the Ferrari, nor the rear end of the Alfa Romeo. Meanwhile, Kartman was momentarily battling with Vince there into the braking point. As Bouncy has done a good job. He's caught up with Toast here and is right on his gearbox coming through this section at the end of Sector 1. And I think Bouncy's realising he's got pace on those mediums, despite them being 6 laps old. He's looking for the move here with the toe, backs out of it, doesn't want to risk it. Smart move, but he hasn't had the exit either. Meanwhile, behind him, Vince has got the gap now to Kartman, back up to a second. As Jim Just Raged is starting to make progress. This is second and third in the championship. Bouncy's made the move for P3 on track, but it will be Jim who will take P6 away from Kartman. And now the championship leader is ahead of P2 as Kartman sent it back up the inside, and they make contact. And that was a reckless move from the McLaren. Dove it up the inside, caused a collision. Both cars now completely out of contention. Meanwhile, Angry Shadow's binned it into a wall right in front of us. And we've got another safety car. And somehow Kartman and Jim's races have been saved. Robins has retired. I think he's binned it into the pit wall, you know. I wonder if there's going to be a car parked right on the entry. Well, there would have been. I think he's gone, though. A wild run of 2 corners there. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Also, if I'm a bit loud, please let me know, chat. If I need to lower my own volume, I have the ability to do so. Nicky G is still somehow P2. MRK, thank you for popping in. I am so sorry about what happened to you. Do you have any comment? Whilst we sit in the safety car, we'll pull you up on stream real quick. Do you have any comment about what happened. Yeah, GoldenDrift had a great restart, was clearing away. Nicky G was comfortably P2. Both are gone. Completely. LRK, talk to me, bud. What has gone wrong here for you? I know you're in chat. Well, this is our second safety car, Matthew. That should be everything you need to know. Wrong gear at the corner, too much gas. That is... Yeah, that happens. I am so sorry that that's happened to you. A great weekend's just sort of been scuppered by one mistake. That does happen, though. Even in the higher tiers. As in comes the race leader, and I wonder if we're about to see a procession of cars. The question is, the Haas... The Haas isn't the only one to stay out. One of the AlphaTauris has stayed out because they couldn't double stack, meaning currently leading the race is an AlphaTauri Vince from Knight, from Great Ace. John Does Work stays out. Anyone else staying out? There's an Alpine and an Alfa Romeo. And now the grid begins its dance. And this is what I love about Tier 5, is this happens every other weekend. Suddenly the grid is flipped on its head and the race leader is in P7. Let's go. This is fun. Tell me this is not fun. We are about to see chaos unfold, I think, here at the Grand Prix. As in comes Jim into the pit lane. He's coming to pit. I think he's done a lap on hard tyres here to make sure that he's got that done. He might be going for a pair of softs and then mediums to the end. Oh, he didn't change his front wing. Oh, no. So Jim suffered damage in that contact with Kartman. Probably a broken end plate. Didn't get the front wing changed, though. And because of that, Kartman's able to sail away up the road. And Jim now has to pit again onto a pair of soft tyres. Oh. Raven, yeah, I see that. Yeah, it was definitely a desperate move from Kartman. If I had the ability to instant replay it, I would. But you could tell he was frustrated with just losing time, losing ground, losing positions. Wanted to try and make a desperate dive bomb. Misjudged it completely. And Jim, almost the sort of helpless victim in the situation, had nowhere else to go. Was forced off straight. And apparently lost a bit of his front wing from it as well. Horrific incident for them just here at the final chicane, but all the chaos doesn't even seem to be focused at turn 3 like I thought it would be. It's all this chicane and this exit here. I don't know if they've poured oil on the track since tier 5 or what, but everyone seems to be getting it wrong. It just doesn't seem to be any grip on the track whatsoever, but for some drivers this is kind of what they needed. Vince is going to be boxing onto a pair of softs to the end. That is the strategy call. We heard it from the AlphaTauri team principal. Ahead of the race, I interviewed him. Because I'm good like that. That is the strategy call for this weekend. At least for Tier 5. It might shift for other tiers. Meanwhile, the Haas strategy seems to be hards to softs to the end. Knight looking to try and stick it out as the front as long as possible. Normbash basically the same thing, but the first safety car definitely changed his strategy a fair amount. But yeah, let's run through the top 10 real quick. After those round of pit stops under the second safety car, Vince will lead the way. Yeah, I think we can turn it into shorts, but I'm not sure how. Chat, this is where you experiment. This is where you do the work here. You found it? Perfect. Go back and do it. Because I'd love to see it. I got a great angle of it as well, so it's kind of very fun. And then send that over to me, Dutch. I'll see if I can pull it up on stream real quick. But in the meantime, we are, I believe, going to get underway at the end of this lap. Vince leads from Knight in P2. P3 is Great Ace, who has had a very topsy-turvy race, but the Ferrari still flies high here. The prancing horse still making his way after a mistake coming out of the chicane, putting the car into the wall, breaking his front end plate and losing a load of time and having to make an early pit stop. He's recovered. He's now P3 on the same strategy as 2 cars behind him, John Does Work and Mark Mage. He's ahead of both of them. Mark Mage leading the way for Alfa Romeo, despite the fact the Jim is here this weekend. Jim being the traditional number 1 for Alfa Romeo, being the Bottas to his Zhou. Right now, Zhou is having a great weekend here at Vegas. He's making all the money that he wants to. Meanwhile, Normbach in the Alpine, P6. P7 is our championship leader, GoldenDrift. P8, Nicky G. P9, Bouncy, who boxed because he could and because he knew Vince couldn't if he did. And P10 is toast with championship contenders Kartman and Jim all the way down at the back of the field. We are back underway here. Vince has gone, but he hasn't gotten away from Knight, who is right with him here in this battle. Great Ace P3 has gotten away from John. Already a second open up between them as GoldenDrift has got past Normbach already and is starting to make moves up the field on those hard tyres. Now chasing after Mark Mage, and we are going to be watching on as meanwhile Nicky G may be looking for a move here. This is going to be dangerous and risky, but he gets the move done into the braking zone. Meanwhile, behind them, Toast stuck behind Bouncy, who's doing a great job of following Normbach through that section, and actually sends it up the inside. And the AlphaTauri driver, I think, has forced Norm to go over the curb there. Norm definitely did take the corner a little too inside. Might have got a penalty for it, or at least a warning. That'll be interesting to look at in the steward's room afterwards. Meanwhile, at the front, battle is still the same. GoldenDrift behind Mark Mage. Mark Mage goes defensive into the chicane, heading on to the back straight. And that's boxed everyone up. And Nicky G is now right behind GoldenDrift. And if ever an opportunity, he's not going to get many more. Tucks in behind the Red Bull. Goes to pull out, but the Alfa Romeo's on his inside, so he can't. Now he can. Clear down into the chicane. Can he get the move done? He can. Gets ahead of the Red Bull. And Nicky G is back into a provisional lead of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, ahead of them, Knight battling to try and catch up to the front too, as Great Ace is looking to take the lead of the Grand Prix after getting past Knight already. Great job from the Ferrari. 2 lap older or younger tyres. Oh, but he's binned it! No! In the middle of the track, and there's contact with the McLaren or the Mercedes. And it was John Does Work who's got into him. And that has somehow... Norma's somehow parked it right next to him. And there is a full course yellow. But I don't think anything more than the VSC. It is a VSC. It is just a VSC. Which has neutralised the race a fair bit. But what it has done is it's given Vince a huge gap at the front. And has absolutely stacked up that midfield. Chaos reigns. And I'm on the wrong screen. I am so sorry. You've been on screen the entire time, chat. There we go. Back on to the regular race mode as finally the VSC does show up on our screens. Right as I switched, actually. Here's Vince leading from Knight. John Does Work is now up to P3 as the yellow flags and the VSC end. As there's a yellow flag immediately for Normbach, who I think has gone into a wall again. He's not having a good time. It's the Alpine. Alpine are not having a good weekend, full stop. As meanwhile, Vince is just trying to keep that car on the road at this point. It's doing a pretty good job of it. Knight under pressure now from the Mercedes. Meanwhile, Nicky G behind them, looking for the move. As in comes Knight. The Haas driver pits from P3. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the field, Toast ahead of Kartman. Jim, P10. Only on those soft tyres, they are not turning on as quickly as anticipated. John Does Work now has a battle behind him. DRS enabled. Here comes Nicky G. Here comes GoldenDrift. They're both going to go for the move, but GoldenDrift couldn't make it work. Meanwhile, JT has gotten past Bouncy as GoldenDrift's got all out of sorts there, and he's been overtaken by JT. Now sat behind the Merc. Chaos here through the first sector, but they've managed to make it work. Red Bull are now battling AlphaTauri for what could be a very crucial set of points. Meanwhile, John, now realising he just doesn't have the pace to keep up. Oh, Jesus! GoldenDrift had to back out partially on that move. Almost put it into the wall. He's gone all over the curbs. He's almost got into the wall himself. He's lost 2 positions because of it. Maybe a third, because here comes Muckmage chasing him down. He's got the overlap. Meanwhile, John does work and Bouncy now. Bouncy has the DRS. So does GoldenDrift, so does Muckmage, John does not, so now they took into a straight line, John being left out like a NASCAR race here, to sort of sit behind, as in comes GoldenDrift for a move, there's contact between the two. Hello Midnight. Welcome to chaos. Things could not be going weirder here at the Vegas Grand Prix. I believe Muck has just let Jim through because, of course, teammates do teammate work. And speaking of doing work, John is struggling right now to keep that car functioning on the track. Those medium tyres have fell off a cliff and he just doesn't have the pace. Jim is through. Muck is about to be through, potentially, as DRSs are open for everyone. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the grid, Jim's gone deep trying to avoid contact, has done a great job. Meanwhile, currently AlphaTauri have won 4. Great job from them after starting both not necessarily where they'd wanted to. But Vince still does have to pick. Yellow flag sector 1. That will be for the Alpine of Normbash, and Ghost Rider has also pit. I believe he may have picked up front wing damage at some point from driving it to the rear end of somebody. Meanwhile, I'm completely missing something. There was a battle momentarily going on. It has ended now, but Toast was all over Muckmage, and John Does Work is struggling to keep up even with Jim at this point. Meanwhile at the front, that we just saw part of it, Bouncy is through. He's past JT. Golden has also got past. Golden now up the inside. Will he make it stick this time? No! Once again, Bouncy survives the move. He's got great defence into that corner and has done a great job as Nicky G has taken the lead of the Grand Prix away from Vince. GoldenDrift says the fastest lap of the race. He's all over the back end of Bouncy. On board we are with him now as he gets the undercut through the corner, the switch back. Tries to send it around the outside. Bouncy is not there anymore. Bouncy is behind and his tyres are struggling. He couldn't make it work, but he does have DRS. Burns the last bit of ERS he has. Back up the inside into turn 3. And Bouncy is giving the championship leader a run for his money here. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Vince has fell out of the lead of the race. Those old mediums starting, or if not starting, then completely going off. Just like a fine cheese, completely moulded and defunct. That metaphor got away from me. It doesn't really matter. The point being is the battle behind him, involving his teammate, is now kind of going to be his problem in about a lap or so time, as Bouncy's not had a great exit there, and he doesn't have DRS now, which means, surely, we're about to see a Red Bull in the podium once again. Through he goes, and he is up to P3, as now Bouncy has to try and figure out how on earth he gets back past the championship leader. Meanwhile, in the background, John Does Work is still battling with Muckmage, who I think has made a mistake there and has fell down the order. He's now behind John, coming through into the heavy braking point. But at the front, Nicky G, without having another safety car, may legitimately be on for a win here for Williams after such an amazing qualification for them. Now he has 2.7 seconds to maintain. So a man on the same tyres, same strategy, same fuel as him, same ERS as him. Nicky has everything to work with here. Meanwhile, behind him, Bouncy's under pressure now. That podium is starting to slip away. There's contact, they're in the wall. They're stuck together. They can't go anywhere. And that is horrific for both drivers. They can't move. And both drivers fall out of the podium, handing it, to, of all people, to P3 in the championship, Kartman, who can't keep the car under him. He's almost completely lost it in the first sector. As now JT and Bouncy lose more time. John Does Work is up to P5. momentarily. John has received a 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellows. I assume for overtaking under the yellow flag. As now, oh, he's just put JT in the wall. JT goes up the inside. Drives into the back of him, does Bouncy. Oh. Oh boy, this next braking zone is going to be chaos. Here we go. Down the run. Down the Vegas Strip. We go. Oh boy. Here comes Bouncy. Chasing down the Merc. Doesn't have the pace. JT goes in deep. But gets the car stopped beautifully, may I point out. Great job from him. But oh, he's hit the wall. And Bouncy's got into the back of him again. And now both drivers need to go into the pits. These two are never-ending rivals. Neither get a penalty for spinning into the pit lane. But what that has done is it's promoted Knight, who has boxed already, as has Vince, to net P6, P7 currently. Mark Mage will come... Mark Mage is also boxed, which puts Jim up to P8. And this is just... I don't know. I gotta take a drink of water. I'll be honest with you. I gotta drink. Make sure you hydrate, ladies and gentlemen. Very important. Jeff with the roast in chat. You've got to love it. Only on-track battle currently going on, by the way. Vince versus Nicky... not Nicky, Knight. For what will be P6 at the end of this race. But both of them are chasing down a driver currently on 13-lap-old medium tyres in John Doe's work. And they are gaining quite rapidly. Vince, who led portions of this race off the third safety car restart, or the second safety car restart even, uses DRS, saves his ERS completely. Knight, who is burning to try and keep up with him now. Knight had a bunch left over in the tank. But Vince is just able to continue accelerating down the straight. And he is now clearly into P6 on those fresh soft tyres. And I wonder if this might be fastest lap of the race here for Vince, because he has absolutely cooked it on those soft tyres. Across the start-finish line he will come as in comes John Doe's work to the pit lane. And yes, Vince does in fact go fastest of all. Meanwhile, the gap at the front. Nicky G has extended it to 2.9 seconds clear momentarily of GoldenDrift. The gap was 2.5 when when Golden got past Bouncy originally, but not had the best of first sectors there. Golden's gained a bit of time, or seemed to have been able to gain a bit of time, but just doesn't have the pace to, as there's a yellow flag in Sector 3, and it is for Alpine, and it is unfortunately Norm Bash who's gone round. Luckily, doesn't seem to have sustained any front wing damage or body damage. Just talent. And he now falls all the way to the back of the field. Alpine's weekend going from bad to worse to horrific. Meanwhile, Nicky, recognising maybe a potential threat behind him. I want to point out that neither of the front two have got any ERS left to spend, and Nicky's just got the straight line advantage, apparently. So, Nicky with the lower downforce setup seems to be working for him. Meanwhile, Kartman, P3, is not necessarily falling back from GoldenDrift, and I don't want to say he's catching him for fear of jinxing it, as Bouncy has got past Mark Mage for what will be P9. Another point for AlphaTauri. Very important for them. Not been a great season for them across the board. For both Vince, for Bouncy, and for their franchise as a whole, have struggled to find any real sustenance or substantive performance to really be able to close the gap on any people. Currently sat in 10th in the Constructors' overall standings, but are looking to try and recuperate that over the next few weekends, as Bouncy does in fact set the fastest lap of the race, stealing it from his own teammate. Very funny that. Meanwhile, Vince has got the second now tonight, who had been hanging on to it for quite some time, but now in this middle sector we get to see him pull away. This is Jim Just Raged. Currently second in the championship, trails GoldenDrift by 10 points coming into this round. And by the end of it, we'll be trailing him by quite a fair few more. Only 6 points on offer. Yeah, 6 points on offer for P7. And he will not be receiving fastest lap at this rate. 9 seconds back from Knight. 3.5 seconds up from JT, who, by the way, is lapping rather quickly as Jim almost puts it in the wall. And that would be a horrific end to his race. Meanwhile, Bouncy is catching steadily. The drivers in 8th and 7th. Not enough to really make a noticeable dent, because he is also under pressure from Mark Mage, who, on those new hard tyres, has actually soared past. Good lord, the straight line advantage of that Alfa Romeo. Where did he go? They were not close to each other coming onto the straight. Meanwhile, the only other battle on track currently is the Aston Martin. Sorry, I keep confusing the two names. I don't know why. Aston Martin of Ghost Rider, who's not had the best overall pace around here this weekend. He's not too far back, you know, from John Does Work. Because meanwhile, Bouncy's actually just got straight back past Mark. And has DRS. That's unfortunate. Mark making a mistake in the first sector through 1 and 2. And now finds himself at the back of the field. And meanwhile, you know, there are some times in life where you see a driver have a horrific moment. And you feel bad for them. And you don't want to talk about it. Because you know that it's a bad thing to talk about it. But right now, I don't want to say there might be a safety car. But he is trying to go full speed through this section. And we know what that means. Ladies and gentlemen, safety car may be incoming. He's managed to keep it out of the wall there. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, I don't know if GoldenDrift put his foot down or something, but he's just gained a second on Nicky G on the past lap. Anyways, back to the entertainment of the stream. On board with Ghost Rider. There's a yellow flag for Norm Bash, and he's parked it in the chicane. And I think he's actually Austin Powers'd his car. Wait a minute, is he stuck? He's actually got the car stuck. Norm is actually stuck on the corner. He got DSQ'd from the race, but he's still there. This is a dangerous car in the middle of the track. Everyone's having to take avoiding action going into the corner. Norbash has been DSQ'd, but the car is still parked there, and everyone is having to take avoiding action. Oh, was that Knight almost goes into the back of him. Here comes Jim. Has the car been cleared? The car has been cleared. Oh my lord! That must have been a heart attack for everyone involved. Oh my lord. Oh. Either way, what that has done is it's actually brought Vince closer to toast now. Vince still on for a P4 potentially here. Has those fresh soft tyres and only has 3 laps to go. He is basically within DRS already. Meanwhile, at the front of the grid, GoldenDrift is within 2 seconds of Nicky G. Same set of tyres, same age, same wear. But one driver has a championship on the line and will be looking to try and secure as many points as humanly possible. The other is racing for pure pride. I know who I'd root for. And I know who I'd put my money on. Meanwhile, Bouncy re-overtaken by Mark Mage on the run down to turn 3. As Ghost Rider has pipped for a new set of soft tyres, I wonder if he'll be able to go for fastest lap. He's almost a lap down on the rest of the field. But will not be finishing the race a lap down. Meanwhile, Vince now has Toast in his sights. This is the final on-track battle I assume we're going to be seeing in the big money points this race. Vince now goes to the outside. Let's Toast go defensive. Get onto the marbles. Pick up the pickup. Weird that they call pickup. Oh, there's contact. Toast got into the back of Vince. And that is crucial and horrific for the AlphaTauri season and for the Haas season, because it's promoted Knight up to P5 momentarily. Vince has done well not to lose any car parts there, but now he has to be hunting down Toast once again. And I don't know if those tyres are going to have the grip that they did 5 or 6 laps ago. Meanwhile, Knight has been let through by Toast. Toast has let Knight through to try and let him go. He's recognised the potential here that he's getting a penalty and he doesn't want to hinder his teammates' race at the same time. So sitting behind him, the faster car, hopefully trying to pull away with him to save himself from falling behind Vince off of the potential penalty. But really, it's not working because he's losing tenths over tenths every single corner because he has no grip on 14-lap-old hards. Meanwhile, Nikichi at the front, we were worried that the gap was closing. It has reopened. Like the gates of hell, Nikichi has pulled away. 2.7 the gap to the championship leader. He has driven a phenomenal race so far as we come on to the final 2 laps of the Grand Prix. As there's a yellow flag, and Ghost Rider's got into a wall. It's too late for a safety car, though. And it's too late for a VSC as well. Car's already cleared up. The marshals are miracle workers here. They literally control Alt-Delete. And the car and the debris is gone, but he's gone into the wall there on the exit of turn 2. A shame to end the race that way for Ghost Rider, who had a good weekend. And meanwhile, the strategy here has worked because Toast has DRS. And meanwhile, Vince has actually only got Jim Just Raged about a second behind him. Jim's catching, as is JT. So maybe we're not done yet. Maybe we've still got one more lap of chaos here at the Vegas Grand Prix as Toast cuts the corner and gets a 3-second time penalty. And it's because he just doesn't have the grip on those tyres anymore that he had to do that. But it's not enough of an excuse to avoid it. Meanwhile, John, unfortunately, despite the fact that he is still running in this race with 6 retirements, will not be finishing in the points as it currently stands. He will be P11 and considerably so. Meanwhile, there is a slow-moving car up ahead. That would be Bouncy, who appears to have lost a lot of time. And I wonder if that's involved in an incident with Mach-Mage. Meanwhile, Toast now back past and in front of Knight, heading into the braking zone. The gap between them, about 4 seconds now, between him and Vince. Vince, mind, who has JT behind him now. JT past Jim, who's now losing out on more points this weekend. If this is to remain the case. Final lap of the Grand Prix. Nikichi leads from GoldenDrift. 2.3 seconds the gap. 1 lap to hang on to what would be a memorable victory here at Vegas on old hard tyres. Nursing the car through this first sector. Not willing to risk making a mistake. Meanwhile, behind them, battles raging. Yellow flags ensuing. Bounces in the wall. And he's lost the front right end plate. Back to the front of the field. The gap's still widening. 2.8, 2.9, 3 seconds almost. Coming onto the strip now. And what a race it has been for Nicky G. What a season. And what a time to find it. The form he needed. Qualified P2 behind only his teammate, who was unlucky today with a mistake that cost him everything. But Nicky G has made up for it in spades for the Williams team. It will be a Williams on the top step of the podium. Nicky G wins the Vegas Grand Prix. GoldenDrift P2 across the line. Kartman will finish in P3 at the end of this all. Toast will be next across the line. He's got a fast AlphaTauri behind him, but the gap is only 2.5 seconds. So regardless of penalties, he might not even be in 6th position. Across the line they come. Toast only P5, drops to P7 as Jim also got him by 400ths of a second. JT will finish in P8 behind them all. Jim getting up to P6 in the end because of that. Mock Mage will finish 9th. John does work with a 5-second unserved penalty, will finish P10. And Bouncy, who's had an unfortunate end to his race, will cross the line in P11 out of the points. What a race. Axe, my EA is Dan of the Mac. I will appear as the Big Mac Dan. D-Master's invited me anyway. Doesn't matter. What a race. An absolute banger from head to tail. Chaos reigned at points. Nightmares. Yeah, definitely. But in the end, it all comes down to who did the best when it mattered the most. And it was, in fact, the Williams driver. What a great race from them. We'll pull it back to me for the last portion of this race. Pretty much clean is a bit of an understatement. A bit of a chaotic one in the end. But what has happened is GoldenDrift has extended his championship lead, but finally Nicky G gets a winner on the board when it matters the most, at the dying breaths of the season. A great job from him, and just honestly a wonderful, wonderful race from him. I do need to go though, because I am also the co-commentator, or the lead commentator for Tier 4 this weekend. So I would thank you all for watching this race. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week, because we're at Portugal next time out, and I'm going to be learning some Portuguese for that Grand Prix. No, I'm not. I can't be bothered, I'll be honest with you. It's Portuguese, a weird language. But we'll be there for Portimao. Hopefully, we'll get to see some more championship-related quality from all of these drivers. But until then, have a great evening, and we will see you next time.